Hello everyone, welcome back to part 2 of Formula 1 My Team on F1 22. So, already getting right into it with our activities for the team, deciding what we're going to do and when to try to benefit the team as we have a chassis event here. We could either have simulator time or department time with Oscar. So we're going to get those R&D points with the department time, helping them with an upgrade. And we're going to turn right around and use those R&D points for an upgrade, not even on the chassis department. Or actually, I stand corrected. We're doing the central under tray as well. So, partially, we're using them for the chassis department. Not all, because we use them for the aero. But anyways, yeah. That powertrain upgrade we made last time finally passed, as we have a Pirelli hot lap now in the supercars around Australia. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes as we see some upgrades being made. Gearbox right there in progress. And we're going to do the average speed zone. Pretty much the goal of this is try to keep as high of an average speed as you possibly can. I believe 92 miles an hour was the bronze medal. Yes, 95.5 is gold. And we're in heavy rain here in Melbourne. Well, actually, it's not really heavy rain. The toughest thing about this was finding the braking points, because, you know, a supercar is not an F1 car. Doesn't have the turning ability, doesn't have the speed. It's a very difficult car to drive. And these things were very oversteery. They drift easy, but they were also very easy to catch as well. This was my best attempt. It was the first attempt. The third attempt was invalidated because I went off here. That's actually one of the new corners on the circuit, because the circuit went through massive changes. Second attempt was just slow because I had a huge slide through that corner. I caught it though, because the supercars are not that difficult to save, pretty much. They're pretty easy to drift. As we head on to actual practice in the Formula 1 cars now for 2022. These cars, they're great. As we head through some of the new sections, some of the most notable changes is turns 9 and 10 is now the high-speed chicane down here. The old 9 and 10 are gone. They no longer exist. It's just that high-speed little curvy section right there. Through turn 11 and down towards the new turn 12, which has been pushed back and made a lot sharper for this year's game. It's probably my favorite corner on this track, to be completely honest. That or turn 6, which is that really high-speed one. The other one they changed massively as we now head on to qualifying for this race. You'll see turn 6 in a bit. I'll tell everyone when we get there. Not that, you know, diehard F1 fans would really need that, but for the people who don't watch F1 or Australian racing, I'll tell you, as we cross the line, we go second fastest. Of course, that demotes us later on. We are down into P18. Caution behind us on the outlap when we were warming up our tires. Not sure what that was about, but something happened right behind us in Sector 1, causing yellow flags. Anyways, at the end of qualifying, this is our final run. Coming around, we are improving right now by 0.3 on our old time. Off the final corner, up to the line. Where's it gonna be? The dash says P18, which is not an improvement. Well, it is an improvement on our time, but I believe we actually lost a place after everybody else crossed the line as a result. I don't expect too much out of this car because it is this car, but P18 again looked like we had pace on that final lap, but we have nothing to show for it. But look at Charles Leclerc. He's starting behind Oscar Piastri in P21 as we get ready to go to the Grand Prix.
You can hear the Australian fans roaring as they line the track here at Albert Park. Welcome to Melbourne, and the roar from the crowd could only mean one thing. It's race day. We go racing today then in the state of Victoria, where the drivers have 14 corners and 3.28 miles to navigate at an average lap speed of around 120 miles per hour. The close proximity of the barriers make accidents inevitable, and recent history shows us that a safety car is not at all out of the question. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who will start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Hamilton, George Russell, and Fernando Alonso. Ocon, Bottas, Mick Schumacher, and Yuki Tsunoda. Gasly, Norris, Guan Yu Zhou, and Ricciardo. Vettel, Latifi, Alex Albon, and Golden Boy. Stroll, Oscar Piastri, Leclerc, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Natalie Pinkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
F1's golden boy ready to take to the streets in Melbourne here. As that was Alex Jack commentating. You're able to do that in this year's game. You're able to change your commentator between him and Crofty. So it's like Channel 4. Anyways, the strategy, just like last time out, is going to be mediums to hards, just like in Jeddah. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if that's the same for Imola next race. Of course, next time out, there's also a sprint as well, which I believe is going to be 9 or 10 laps, maybe 11, I don't really know. As we form up on the grid, I'm so good at that grid forming up, and I love it too. We're probably going to have to angle our car again next week for turn 1 at Imola, as we now head to the 5 red lights for the Australian Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go. Shaky start all over the place, no traction. Now we get it. After we slide a little bit, we have lost places down into turn 1. Just being cautious. Don't want to wipe out the front wing after already having some damage done to us. Don't want to make it even worse, even though I do have flashbacks to my aid, but don't want to use them if we don't have to. Albon goes for a move. We were already going for that move. We had no chance of backing out, and it works out for us in the end as we actually hit Albon and Leclerc, I believe that is on the inside. No, it's not. It's Nicholas Latifi. Leclerc has been stuck back in the pack now as we head down into turn number 6. Another corner that I really like. It's so much faster than it was in previous games. They really made that corner a lot more sweeping into this fast part. Anyways, down into turn number 12, the reprofiled edition. Leclerc goes for an optimistic dive bomb, and it almost works out. That was a nice move, honestly, a move that I would have made. You could just see how crazy the AI are in this year's game as we collide with them. And Leclerc may have damage. I think he does. Heading into this final corner and onto the front straightaway. Well, now he does, because he has just chipped the wall quite a good bit. And Latifi might have even been in the back of him as the safety car gets deployed for debris on the racetrack from that front wing. As we get ready now. Oh, a little bit too close to Lance Stroll there. We're going to restart this race on lap 5 out of 29, coming around the final corner now to restart the Grand Prix behind Stroll and Zhou Guanyu. We're back underway. Lance Stroll trying to get up to him in the Aston Martin after quite the not good restart, to say the least. Just did not get away well compared to him. Anyways, down into here, he's going to go side by side with Guan Yu as they come around. And our former teammate from F1 2021 gets passed by Lance Stroll, heading down through turn 5 and now into turn number 6. We're chasing after Zhou Guanyu here, trying to get on by the Chinese rookie in this game for Alfa Romeo, getting a huge run here with a great exit out of turn 6, heading down towards turn 9 in the high-speed chicane. going to make a move down the inside, late on the brakes. It's kind of hard to be late on the brakes through there, as you're hardly even on the brakes before you're turning in for the corner, because again, it is a very high-speed chicane, one of the faster chicanes in Formula One on the calendar, as now we are chasing after Lance Stroll once again here. Maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to pull off this move once DRS gets enabled, but that Aston Martin looking pretty fast right now. DRS not yet enabled, however, because we are not more than 2 laps after the restart. This is just a lap and a half after the restart, a lap after the pass on Joe, and we are going down the inside of Lance Stroll, pulling off the same move we just pulled on Guan Yu. We get on through, but here comes Stroll back at us. Unlike last time, we did not get a good exit out of 10. However, Stroll backs out because I think we might have cut him off a little bit as he tries to go down the outside at turn 12. We're not going to let that happen, and we hang on to P14 now. Lap 9 of this Grand Prix, just working our way through. Charles Leclerc now behind us. Stroll came into pit because he was on the soft compound tires. Leclerc is on the softs. He should be pitting soon, but we're just going to let him go because we're nowhere near the Ferrari. I mean, his teammate Carlos Sainz is leading the Grand Prix. As problems for somebody behind us as, wow, what a save. Oh my God, how did I not remember that? But anyways, maybe that's why. Kevin Magnussen, retiring from the Grand Prix with a mechanical failure, has overshadowed that amazing save. So now, we don't care about my save. We just care that K-Mag is now, sadly, out of the Grand Prix as everyone pits onto the hard tires. Coming out, there goes Perez. We have Verstappen behind us, who's already pit, and he, I believe, is just running the back of George Russell in the Mercedes. Obviously, I'm going to defend Russell there and say that was all on Verstappen, which it actually was. He should have probably been paying attention as Carlos Sainz sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix as we come into pit with no clue where the braking point is for the pit lane. We brake way too early, probably lost about a second there. Verstappen is also in. He has wing damage from that collision almost a lap ago. As we are in, finally, I get a good turn into the pit lane. I believe that's the first time on this game I've actually gotten an optimal turn-in point. So it's a decent pit stop. Now we're out here on these cold, hard tires. And this was, as you might expect, concerning, as the safety car now gets deployed a lap later for no reason, I believe, or at least not a reason that I know of. Going after, in the post-race, I went to the race director page and I couldn't see any noticeable incidents that might have caused this, other than maybe just now they're finding debris at turn 1 from when Verstappen ran in the back of Russell a couple of laps ago. As now we're back green. Great restart for us, chasing after Sebastian Vettel, and we've been restarting behind a lot of Aston Martins here today. For both safety cars, we've been behind an Aston Martin. This time, though, it is Vettel. We're going to take a look. Are we taking a dive? Yes. We take a dive down the inside of Seb and get the spot quite easily with a big-time move that Charles Leclerc actually put on us down at turn 12 earlier in the race, now that I think about it. Chasing after now the NASCAR boy, Daniel Ricciardo, NASCAR fanboy. It's actually why he's number 3. He likes Dale Earnhardt Sr. Just a little fun fact on Daniel. We're actually going to make this move for the 3rd time in this race. This time, though, by the time we get to turn 9, we are in front. And later on, we're 3 wide going into here because that's something you do in F1. More NASCAR references. Right there, 3 wide. That's a NASCAR thing right there. Don't ever see that in F1. As that was Norris and other people, as Norris locks up and we run in the back of Gasly there, who had something go on. Norris has actually gone off the track, and in the span of a lap, things are really kicking off here as Carlos Sainz, the race leader for Ferrari, has retired from the Grand Prix with a mechanical failure. Never mind that, though. Right now, he was never going to be our race at any point. That's just a free spot for us. There's another free spot for us as we go around the outside of Gasly. Well, that wasn't really free. We did have to work for that. Into the gravel there a little bit with the left sides through turn 13 as here comes Gasly back at us now on lap 23. Man, things are really happening too quickly right now. I can't actually commentate all of this at once. I feel bad for David Croft and people like that who have to commentate all of this on like race starts and stuff. Anyways, lap 23. And Gasly is once again coming back at us, heading down to turns 9 and 10, and the high-speed chicane doesn't really stand a chance, and we do stay in front of the AlphaTauri right now. And now on lap 28, 2 laps to go, Gasly going to mount yet another attack. I would say he has 1 or 2 chances left between now and the end of this race to get this spot. He is in front here, but not by enough to have the right to the corner. He wasn't ahead by more than half a car length. I was just alongside of him, and we were able to stick it in there as we now head on to the final lap of this race. Gasly looks like he's going to have one more go at us down into turn number 1. No, he backs out, and he actually gets pinched in, I believe, a little bit. One of those AI moments where you come across and they kind of go on the curb and lose a bunch of time. That should be his chances over for getting us now here in Melbourne. What a great race it has been. Hometown hero Daniel Ricciardo looking more like a hometown zero today, or at least in the points he will be a hometown zero with 0 points sat in P11 unless he could magically get Pierre before the line, as we are now coming around on this final half lap.
Oh, yeah!
Are you kidding me? Let's go. Let's go. George Russell takes the win. Fernando Alonso, fastest lap of the Grand Prix up the road. And P9 for the second time this season, points. And by just 2 races in, we have already completed our entire season goal of 2 points finishes within the team, with a P9 at the Australian Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc, driver of the day here in Melbourne.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance today. They should be proud. So, Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we could talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those that we've witnessed today.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot. A well-earned victory for Mercedes.
Fantastic race here in Melbourne. Probably more interesting than anything we'll see in real life here at the Melbourne Street Circuit, or the Albert Park Street Circuit, sadly. This place just is too hard to pass in real life. That's the benefit of it being a video game, though. It's never too hard to pass, and you always get that crazy action. George Russell beats Sergio Perez and Sir Lewis Hamilton to the checkered flag. Carlos Sainz retires with a mechanical failure. Max Verstappen only P19. We're going to look at the points, and I want you all to take this in. 2 races in, Max Verstappen with a DNF in Jeddah and a 19th place finish after wing damage in Melbourne finishes last in the points right now after 2 races in, as Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc are tied for the points lead, with George Russell and Lewis Hamilton both being behind by 11 points, I believe, right there. As you could see, the race director, nothing really in particular about that safety car, which came at lap 17. Anyways, that will do it for the Australian Grand Prix. As I said, next time we'll get our first ever Formula One sprint race in a career mode on the game. It will be at Imola for, I believe, a 10 or 11 lap sprint race, followed up by the 32 lap Grand Prix. So yes, you get extra next time on top of the normal race and qualifying session and practice and all the R&D and stuff that normally makes up an episode. Anyways, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Check out some of my other content, and see you all next time.